Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Lionel. Hey, I'm your host for LT Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. We are covering Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 5. I think this is episode 27 or so. Let's get into it, but first, thank you for coming to my channel. Thank you for every subscriber. If you are not one, please subscribe now. Like and share this video, and also comment on whatever this episode has been to you, and also my commentary if you feel like doing that. So shout out to Mr. CarlosKing and Kingdom Reign Entertainment, and to the cast. Yeah. All right, so we start off with Kimmy, Marceau, and his brother Micah. The office is still not ready, and now Kimmy has to put fire under them because I think they're over a month and a half late or so, and no one's really being accountable. They're moving slow. Maurice is just glad that the fire isn't coming just under him because he's somewhat responsible for all this too. Micah leaves, then they start having a conversation because Kimmy's like, you should have been involved in all this. And Maurice is like, I'm not a handyman, I'm a lawyer. And then Kimmy's like, well, she's always doing this. I don't know always, but she's got to she has to do this preface in order to prove a point to Maurice in some ways, because she said, when I met you, you were a handyman and all that. So he sent his representative to you. That's what it looks like, Kimmy. And you were this handy guy, part of the reason why I married you, because I knew that there were things that just would get done. And Maurice said, I can't do that. I'm a lawyer. He keeps this defense up, and Kimmy's like, you're always using this lawyer thing as if nothing else you can do, because he starts talking about, well, I got, how many lawsuits I got? Only off of one just lawsuit. It's taking up a lot of my time. Ma'am, sir. There's more things in life than just being a lawyer. So that's got to be, part of his excuse. I mean, he still is very misogynistic, so he just thinks the woman really should be in the kitchen and opening up her legs to him when he needs it. But obviously, he thinks this lawyer thing trumps everything that's going on in his life. From being a husband to being a father. He thinks that preaching, card rides to school and back are the best, and in bonding with your son and all this other good stuff. Sir, you are not the first or the last lawyer. And if you're taking on too much work, then you're taking on too much work. So then Kimmy transcends the conversation to, they went to go get the Yanni cleanse thing. And Maurice is like, well, what is that all about? It cleanses and all this good stuff, blah, 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 blah. And then she asked about, does it help with her libido? And the doctor said yes. And then basically Maurice said, scam. Obviously, it has not helped, and Kimmy's not in rare form as far as sex. She's not popping it on him. So they went on and talked about Tisha, about how she could possibly be pregnant. They did talk a little bit about how she's a little bit overworked or whatever, and thinking about being a stay-at-home mom. Maurice basically talked about, if she is pregnant, logically for a Marceau, Scott, he's not going to be like, oh, my vasectomy. No, he's going to be like, what is going on? And that's how those Scott men would think. They don't even care if you are committed or not. They're going to think of the most logical thing, because they obviously think that science just works to a T, and there can't be any other option. He said something that was very slick and shady. Oh, when, I remember it. When Kimmy was talking about what Tisha was saying, that she's really drained and all this good stuff. And he said, well, it looks like she needs to go to Africa. I said, ooh. Not that I'm too mad about that, because, hey, that's what his excuse was for going to, to Africa with no way of communicating. All right, so we move on to the next scene, which was with Stormy and Tisha. Stormy is too busy trying to ask about this Kiki and Tisha thing. We don't care. They don't, because neither one of them are willing to talk to each other. So who cares? At this point, you keep asking her, everybody keeps asking, and there's nothing that's going forward. I'm sure production wants you to talk about it, but they don't want to talk about it. And y'all aren't making them talk about it at all, production. So let's leave it alone. You're talking about, oh, I see how my mom and her sister are, and I just don't like to see that. But where are they at? Because you have not talked about them since part A of the season. So we basically have seen them, for 2 episodes? And I don't know why production hasn't followed up with that, but whatever. Then they talk about, how life is going, how Tisha just came back from a vacation in Vegas, and Marcel went on a bachelor's trip. I don't understand why married folk hang out with bachelors, but that's none of my business. But he went to Colombia, and then Colombia, Stormy says, why he do that? That's more of like a brothel, prostitution place. And Tisha's like, I don't know about all that, but he said that me and him need to go next time. Well, you can Google it yourself, but I know that this is talk, but if Marcel is at least saying, okay, we need to go, that may not have been his agenda. I don't know about Colombia. I never heard about it with Colombia, whatever. So they get on the subject of the website and plagiarism. And Stormy is trying to tell her, it was a negative effect. And Tisha's like, a negative effect? Not with me. That was my web designer and my assistant. My assistant was supposed to read it over. And with the web designer, I don't even know if I want to use him anymore, And I'm like, Tisha, you mean to tell me you got all of these degrees and don't know business 101? Everything falls back on you. Nobody knows who the web designer is. Nobody knows who the assistant is. And you're going to sit up here and be so prideful and not even take responsibility. And Stormy was trying to get that out of her. Then she had to go in deeper. Well, it's taking a negative effect on me because of what they think that me and you got going on. And then she finally apologized. If it takes all of that, lady, you don't need to be in business. And I hate to say this, but go on to be a mom. Looks like that's what you're good at, because it's quite crazy. I don't want to speak to you as a millimeter would speak to you, but at this point, you talk very less than smart. And there's nothing else that anybody can say about it. Like, now, don't do that. Your people messed up, according to you. So take responsibility as the leader and CEO of the company. Stormy doesn't really like it. She accepted the apology, but she said that she's got her eye on the Scotts because it's like, or at least on Tisha, because it's like, why can't you take responsibility and all this good stuff? But you would have seen enough, Stormy, that you don't really need to really deal with them, but you want to deal with them because who else are you going to talk to on the show? That would be with Kiki. And Kiki has nothing else going on in her life. She can only talk about them, about her cousin, and she can't even say that because all she's just going to say how much she has done for them and it's not been fair. She can't talk about her case. That's it. Okay, so we move on to the next scene. It's with Chris and Nell. Chris gives a breakdown as to what's really going on, what his conversation with Chris was. Nell is pushing back because she really just feels like he's an a-hole. He doesn't come around. He only came to dinner. He don't talk to nobody. He don't pick up, blah, 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 blah. You can see that Nell is taking a very hard approach to the whole situation, and she may be tired. I don't think that Nell is selfish for how she thinks. I don't think that she thinks well-rounded. And she's probably just hurt by the stuff that she's had to have done and not really be appreciated. But there's more to the root as to what's going on with Chris Jr. Chris tells him, we talked to the point where I even broke down, where it seems like he's dealing with something with like depression. He goes off alone, 2 o'clock in the morning, all alone. And she says, well, that's not good because anything could happen as far as getting in trouble, the cops around and all this good stuff. So he suggested therapy, and Nell said, I think that would be good. Possibly he doesn't really need to be with us. He probably just needs to possibly be one or the other or whatever. And we're going to see how this works for him. And I'm glad she did come around to listening to Chris wholeheartedly and looking at it from another perspective as to what's going on. How Chris is operating is wrong. But there's more stuff that's going on with him because he does hate coming around the family and he's being always criticized and all that. And he has gotten himself into trouble. And they also are saying that they did spoil him too. So I thought it was a good scene. I thought it was. The next scene, Kimmy takes out Tisha and Mel to the thing, to get to the spa to get their nails, or pedicure and manicure and all that good stuff. Mel comes in and says, I don't really need a pedicure because I always do that. I'm like, why did that have to be a part of your... Just go. You got to film a scene. Like, just go. So they're talking, they bring up, Kimmy brings up, are you and Tisha good? She's just like, yeah, I mean, I just didn't want to bring up hear what you guys were talking about at that moment. Is everything good between you and Mel? Mel brings up the stuff where she just feels like when I started talking, then you had a problem with it, while everyone else was able to talk and you were quiet. And Tisha says it wasn't really you at that point. I was really just done speaking about everything. It was just kind of a pile on type of situation. She didn't say it like that, but that's how I'm interpreting it. And she just wanted to be done. So it wasn't anything specifically about you. I don't know if that's true. I hope not. I really hope not, Tisha, but it does seem like, because it was her, that you had something to say. That's what it looked like. But we're going to take your word for it and see what pops up next. Then Kimmy goes on the asking concerning why she wasn't invited, or Tisha invited, to her Take Me Back ceremony. And really, Mel says, well, I didn't want it to turn into a negative thing. If I invite you, then I got to invite Maurice. If I invite Tisha, then I got to invite Marcel. And it leaves it open for people to start joking and laughing, da-da-da-da-da-da. And I didn't really want that. To just break it down totally, Kimmy, y'all are contract friends. Kimmy felt a certain way about it. At least we heard it in the confessional. Like, I thought we were a little bit better than that. But since you guys want to be friends with Martell, you weren't really an option for this. And possibly because there's been talk of the cheating and the making fun and all that good stuff down through the years. It's like, no, I'll pass. And I think Kimmy has to accept that for that. Then they get on the subject of all the stereotypes of not having moms having the last name of their children. Mel took that as shade. Well, you're trying to say that about me, but you and your son don't even have the last name anymore. I mean, you did take on Maurice's last name and all that. I guess it did cause quite a controversy. Kimmy on Instagram didn't really think that way. She didn't think it was going to cause that. I think she wanted to open up a conversation about the stereotypes that it does have and the negativity, especially in the Black community. Oh, you don't have your mom's last name? Oh, you must be a baby mama, blah, 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 blah. I'm kind of more on Kimmy's side on this, but I could also see where Mel could come from, for how she was just feeling in that moment. I don't know. What do you guys think? I know it was really something. I think coming from Kimmy, you guys weren't even married. She wasn't even married to the baby dad. So you are a baby mama. Mel was married. And then she just decided to not wear his name anymore. And that's what it is. That's all it is. No. Mel is not a baby mama. She had all her children through marriage. That's the difference. We're going to talk about this last thing. Stormy and Courtney with the Scots 1.0. According to Stormy and Courtney, they were an hour and a half late. Now, they did say something to them, but they didn't have their feelings on their shoulders about it. And they never apologized for it, being late when they actually showed up. So, I don't know what's going on there. I think in some ways, there are times where some of this cast tries to pull their OG cards or the ranking on the show, because you can't apologize for being late. Anyway, so they are doing their thing, and the whole BITCH stuff comes right back up again. Stormy saying, well, when you were doing what you did, it was B behavior. And Marcel says, well, okay, you did that, and then I decided to do what I did. And what Courtney says he doesn't have a problem, but then he says, the whole thing that I didn't really like is that you were trying to say that about the name thing, about my wife's name is what I wear, da 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 da. And basically, Marceau said I was getting my lick back. And Stormy's like, well, of course, B is disrespectful, but you didn't have to be disrespectful. Your lick back could have been, just tell my husband. No, no. Why do you think you can insult me and I can't insult you back? Getting a lick back is getting my lick back. And just sicking your husband on you, that's probably not going to really tell you what's up or whatever and probably agree with you, but may say, oh, that was wrong. Why would I do that? I don't even like defending these fools, but Stormy, you were wrong. And even in this conversation, you were being passively aggressive and trying to be slick, shady, and still saying that is BS behavior. So then Marcelo started to flip it, and he was going through some territory he shouldn't have, but he did. He said something along the lines of, well, I know with your culture, you guys talk about bees. I said, Lord Jesus. Now you try to insult her really well. Because what Marcel is going to do is up the ante. Don't think he don't catch the shade. So Stormy, at this point, gets her stuff, her phone, and is ready to walk out the room. And Courtney's like, well, you're the next one up. It's like, oh, I got some important business, but I'm going to go over here. But Courtney's like, well, I need you here so we can win. I said, I'm going to watch you do what you do over there. So she was done with the conversation. I'm sorry, Stormy, you have a part in all of this. And you keep up the ish. But then you want to dish it, but don't want to take it. It's easy right now to blame the Scots for everything. But you still want to hang out with them, even though you see how they are. But no, I'm not going to blame them in this instant. No, Stormy, you are petty and shady. If you want to get the last word, and Marcel wants to get the last words. A lot of times Marcel is able to, because it's a power play. And Marcel he loves to have the power and be in charge. Y'all keep falling for it. I don't really feel bad for y'all. Not in this instance. There's some other things that you should really go after people about, but you don't. So, oh well. He got you. Well, that's all I do have. Please let me know what you guys think about this episode. Tell me in the comments. Again, please like and share this video and subscribe to my channel. Until the next video, peace.